He's Metz.
Hold on, Tass. Okay, say it again.
I said good timing.
Hey, thanks.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you? You going to share too?
Why does that chair look so low?
It does, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to go live to the Truck Drivers Association of America? Yeah. All right. We're trying to hit a new market.
I love it.
Yeah, they participate more than the martial arts community.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway. So what's going on, man? We had a unbelievable event.
That's what I hear. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. A lot of I've been doing a lot of catch up this week with being gone for a good portion of last week and talking to a lot of clients that both were there and not there. Clients that were there loved it. Clients that weren't there, watched the streams, wish they were there. So I think it was a big hit, man. 418 people? Is that what we had?
418 flew in, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it was great. Welcome, everybody.
Landis, how are you?
Mr. Feldman.
Hey.
How are you, sir? So we, there was something, and I mentioned it at the event, but we'll wait for people to get on here. I will say, let me put in the chat box. We will cover one thing that you can immediately implement in your school to increase your conversion. I thought this was such a golden nugget, and we'll talk about it. And I know people that were at the thing knows what I'm talking about.
Well, you think they know?
There you go. So thanks for all. This was my third event. Last year had to close shop to make the trip and set a goal a team would run. Hello, Mr. Blackman.
Mr. McClung, how are you? Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we just saw you guys a few days ago, but it's good to see everybody.
Anyway, we're talking about takeaways, and
oh boy, that's is all business right now.
Okay, let's just chill and relax. Look at this, though, guys. Hey, you want a sneak peek? Huh? About to be filling in all the blanks.
Oh, yeah. Just get back from one event. Well, in all fairness, I think that event was started before we even left for this event, but it's one event right to the next, right?
Right.
Those look great.
Right?
Your graphic art skills are coming along, Metz.
I'm working on it. We have a great team, but listen, we're already planning our June 30th, July 1st, and 2nd event. However, I know people don't have a really long attention span. I'm one of those people, so I do want to give them a golden nugget. We just got done with our MAIA Lead All Systems Go. I want to just give everybody my big takeaway, right, at this event, because even though we host the event, we're always learning. We're all students. And we had a guest speaker, Mr. Jay McGowan. He was on the Metzger Tassoul show, and that sounded like an owl. That's not exactly.
Oh, well, it was supposed to be, that was my train impression. Come on, right?
I got you. It was good.
Ooh, there it is. But that's another one.
So Jay McGowan wrote and sang "Woot, There It Is," "Come On Ride the Train," "Space Jam," "Tootsie Roll," right? But he also has been training sales teams for the Wyndham Resorts, Diamond Resorts, right? And getting to know Jay, I had asked him if he would come and talk to the group. And he went over some things as far as sales psychology and this, that, and the other. But I approached him afterward and I said, there was the one thing. And again, for those of you who were at the event, you heard me say this because I brought it up. And Mr. Blackman, you're right on, right? The closing conversation, point number 5. So he had these 5 bullet points, questions to ask, when you're working with a prospect, right? And of course, we have to deliver the goods. But the one thing he said, and I'll take everybody through it. So this is free. This is something that literally you could do today, and it's going to up your conversion rates. I mean, it just is. And that is, when we do an enrollment process, we do what we call a 4-step enrollment process. After they've taken a class or they've done a trial or an intro lesson, and then you bring them back in the office, the first thing we do is we talk about the student or the prospect, whether it's an adult or a child. Let's say it's a child because most of you have more kids than adults. But if it's adults, same thing. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, or tell me a little bit more about your child. How are they at home? How are they at school? What is it that you'd really like to see them get out of the program? If they filled out a little information sheet, they may circle focus, confidence, discipline, self-control. And what we do is we like to go fishing and say, out of all of these things, what one life skill really sticks out that you'd really like to see your child excel in? And they pick something, confidence, focus, whatever. And then what we do is we say, well, out of all those, why does that stick out? Why confidence, And a parent will start talking, well, my child gets picked on, they get bullied, they don't have a lot of friends, they don't talk, they don't look people in the eye, whatever it is, right? And then step 2 is we will be specific on how we're going to help them with that program. And then we have a step 3 is pre-frame how long some people have been training, or pre-frame an upgrade program if you have it. But before we get to step 4, we're going to do something that I just learned with this one question. And some of you may already do this, but I like the way it was presented. And that is, we say, well, Mrs. Johnson, let me ask you something. You had said confidence, and you told me why. What is your plan to make sure that your child gets that confidence to change the trajectory of their life? What plan do you have to help them with that? And really, the only answer could be, well, I'm sitting here in front of you, I'm here, I'm hoping this is it. That question by itself, I think, will up your conversion rates astronomically, just that one question. Because when you articulate that to a parent and they start painting their own picture on they want to be healthier, or they want more focus, or they want to get in shape, or they want to learn self-defense, or they want their child to have more discipline. Great. What's your plan to make that happen? I don't think they're going to say,
I'm going to go join dance.
I'm going to go join soccer, right? I mean, so that one question I think is huge. So there's a big takeaway from our event this last weekend, and it just really stuck with me, and I loved it. Tass, do you have any takeaways, Tass?
Well, I think, I'm sure that's going to be step 3B, because you'll not never get us away from 4. So we're not going to make those 5 steps.
Right. No, that'll be
step 3B. No, I mean, it's funny because, sometimes you go through, and I've heard this from clients as well, right? You go to an event. Well, let me be just candid, right? So my daughter went through on Sunday. We had our CMA program director training day, right? Well, we had a big day of all kinds of things. One of those things was our CMA program director college, right? And she had gone through the college, and I asked her how it was, and her response was something effective, basically, that was great for somebody that's new at program directing. And so someone could take that as negative, but I think, and you've said this before, it's always important to point out the obvious, because not everyone understands the obvious. And I said, well, look, you may think that way, but 2 things. Number 1, did you take away any gold nuggets of things that you weren't doing? Because even if you were doing 95% of what was said in that room, what's the 5% that you weren't doing that you can go back and implement immediately and make that adjustment? So she gave me some of those things. But I also said, look, it's a testament to how far you've come in this career and what you actually have learned, right? So there's always gold nuggets that you can take away. And during Jay's seminar, I'm like, okay, well, because I've been plugged into Jay Abraham and Tony Robbins and all the different trainings over the years, I've heard a lot of those things before. And you pointed out that question number 5, which, when I saw that, I was like, I thought that's a great question. But it was like kind of in and out. And then you brought it to the forefront. I'm like, dang, that is a really good question. Like, you really, like isolated that, and now we'll implement that, into our system. It's because it is a great question. And by the way, you and I just had some, personal conversations at breakfast, and we were talking about, it's one thing to tell someone or dictate or like tell them what to do. It's another thing to ask questions that they know the obvious answers to. And it's always a reminder. And man, I've been around you for a long time, and it's always been the power of questions. And unless you're conscious about it, you can forget that because you immediately want to go to your knee-jerk reaction and tell people what you want to dictate to people as opposed to asking questions. So I think, well, I don't know if it's Tony Robbins, somebody said, like, the quality of your life is based off of the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And it's so true. And it's got to be something that's conscious in your everyday life and what you're thinking about. Now, I will say this, I was reminded, sometimes learning's remembering. So if you ask me what my takeaway was, you go to seminars, and I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on with MAIA is we give people actionable steps that they can take back and implement into their school immediately to make immediate changes and differences. And for those of you that were there, for those of you that maybe watched, and for those of you the people that didn't come, I would say this: when you learn something that you find useful, the key is you have to execute it right away. So people could come to a seminar like this, we'll call it a seminar, whatever, at this last weekend, and there can be like all this exciting stuff, and there can be the hype, and there can be the rah-rah. But when you come back, if nothing changes for you and it was just a rah-rah event, you're never going to get any further. In fact, my mom and dad, when they had a grocery industry, they had conventions similar to what we do, but for the grocery industry. And he would always say, like, they're great rah-rah sessions, but unless the managers go back and execute, they just don't make sense to go to. So for those of you, if you're there, you watched it, or even if you weren't there, when you learn something new, and I'll give you, this is such a small thing, and some people are like, that's just stupid. But for example, one of the things that was covered in the program director meeting was how we answer the phone. So we happen to answer the phone. It's a great day at Championship Martial Arts. How may I help you today? Well, one of the things that was brought up was answering the phone. It's a great day at Championship Martial Arts. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? Now, that may seem like something very small, but it's a small detail that can be implemented immediately. And the goal would be, anytime that you learn something new, execute it, because now it just leveled up your game and it becomes part of your DNA. And then when you go to the next seminar, you learn something and you execute it, you continue to level up your game, as opposed to going to a seminar, workshop, getting excited, getting motivated. Yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it. And you don't level up at all. And you're in the same place you've always been because you haven't made any changes in your business. So I think that was a good reminder for me, is just the takeaway is always looking for the gold nuggets, no matter how good we are, no matter who's speaking. We always look for those gold nuggets. Okay, I've heard that. I've heard that. Ooh, that's really good. How can I implement? How can I execute that? I think that was a good reminder for me and a good takeaway.
And the thing is too, is people have to realize that, it goes back to your daughter. Like, it was really good. Sometimes we don't recognize the nuggets, right? And it goes back to Jay, our guest speaker, Jay McGowan's thing. And you guys have seen this before. Remember, it says, how many times does the team in white pass the ball?
Yeah.
And then it says, did you see
the moonwalking bear?
Moonwalking bear, right? And you missed it, right? Because you're so focused on the stuff that I know this, or whatever, you missed it, right? You got to be able to look for it. And it's the same thing with that question number 5, right? What plan do you have? I asked that whole room of 300, in that room that I think we had about 300 on that day, right? 300 in the room there with the breakout rooms. And I said, what one thing was the thing that you can immediately go, and nobody caught it as clear as I caught it, just because I'm constantly looking. And I'll tell everybody watching this now, even all our elite family and CMA on here, and Tass, you don't even know. I just hung up the phone with a gentleman who called me and wanted to see what we have to offer, right? He's on track, one location, to do 1.35 million this year at his one location. Okay. That's 1,350,000.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
And he said, I'm always wanting to learn. And I said, and he goes, as we're talking, I said, well, let me just tell you, sir, I think we're going to really be able to help you just for the fact that you're on the phone with me and you're seeking out what you can learn, because most people doing 1,350,000 in one location, most people think they got it all done and they've got it all figured out. And none of us have it all done and all figured out. None of us. You constantly got to keep your brain open and keep learning and be looking for those golden nuggets on things that can elevate you and take you to the next level. So let me just answer the question here. Sir, great 4 steps. That's a great cheat. Can you get that from joining MAIA? You don't have to join MAIA to get that. I'm going to give you I'll put it in the chat here. Mr. Ernie Palesco's phone number. This sounds like I'm pranking a friend, like putting out a phone number. But you call him and we'll make sure you can get whatever it is you want. Because I if you notice when you were talking, Tass, I muted you.
Hey, it's already in there. The team beats you.
There it is. So I don't need to do it.
And
I muted you because I was like, how can somebody, I don't even know how you contact us, guys. We're like a covert operation. So I muted myself and I was calling Brian and saying, how does somebody get information? He wants the 4 steps. How do we get that to him? I said, write it down. So I got him to write it down for me. Here's another one. Listen up. This is a golden nugget for everybody. Here's another one. And this was something that I said, but it was based off of dialogue from one of my instructors. And then I brought it up at the event because I thought it was relevant. And I'd like everybody to pay attention to this. And it was, you're welcome. It was when I talked about the roundhouse kick, right? Or it could be an arm bar. It could be whatever, right? And what I said is I was talking with one of my instructors and I said, hey, why are we, the class was doing partner drills. They were kicking targets. And I said, why are we doing roundhouse kicks right now? And he said, oh, because we're getting ready for testing. This was adults. There were there were beginners. And he said, because testing is next week and they're doing their kicking combinations. I said, but why do we teach roundhouse kicks?
Right.
And he goes, because it's part of the curriculum. I said, but why? Why roundhouse? Why are we teaching it? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, we teach roundhouse kicks to hurt somebody. I mean, they said a roundhouse kick is an attack. I said, so why is it that the beginners out there are kicking shields and I feel like I can put my head there and let them kick me in the face and I'll be okay? Because we are so focused on the task, we forget why we're even doing the task. Meaning they're so focused on trying to get the kick right, they're forgetting why we're doing it. I said, I'd rather see them right now as beginners just swing their leg as hard as they can and actually not have me be able to put my face there, because even if they hit me with a sloppy kick, it would knock me out. Then I'll fix the technique, because we're so focused on the task, we forget the result we're going for. And it's the same thing in your business. For example, some of you get all excited about all these trials, and I got a trial lesson coming in and I got them on a 4 week. So I had 5 people come in today and they said, hey, saw your ad. We want to do this. We want to do martial arts. And you go, well, we have a special right now. You can do it for 4 weeks. You're so focused on the task that you're forgetting that the trial is just a step in between that prospect and getting them enrolled. So why don't you just get them enrolled? If somebody comes in and says, saw your ad, which was a 4 week for $49. My kid's been bugging me forever. I've been wanting to do martial arts forever. Would love to get information and hear about the program. Say, well, look, this is not the system, but why isn't it like, if you've been dying to do this, your kid's been bugging you, try a class out, and then let's get you enrolled now. But we were taught to believe, well, they can't sign up right now. They didn't even take a month of classes. They don't even know what they're saying. They're telling you, I've been wanting to do martial arts forever. You get so focused on the task you forget the result we're trying to get.
Right.
Just get them enrolled, right? So it's the same thing with techniques. You know, sometimes, and people say the conversation spurred because the question was, why did we get rid of some of the traditional forms with the adults? And it was simply because, and I like tradition, I like culture, but I like the result that we're trying to get to. And I felt we were teaching too much memorization and not enough application. We were so focused on which shoulder to turn over, which hand to block, which hand crosses on top, which knee's supposed to be bent, that our students weren't understanding the reason why we're doing anything we do in the first place. They were just trying to memorize all these different tasks or techniques, and they had no idea, really, they forgot consciously why we do this. Same thing with punches. Like, why are we punching? Have you ever noticed kids specifically when they're doing punching drills, if you tell them to throw like 3 jabs, it'll be like this? And I'm like, are we knocking on someone's door? Like, why are we doing that? Because we're trying to just focus on speed and we're forgetting the power. We're forgetting why we're throwing punches to begin with. My point is don't let that be in business for you guys. What are you trying to do as a martial arts professional? What are you trying to do? Do you have a mission statement? I think we have one behind us. I do, but the camera can't see it right here. But what is your goal? You want to change lives. You want to impact communities in a positive way. You want people to be in shape. You want them to learn self-defense. You want them to be able to relieve stress. You want to be able to provide focus, discipline. Focus on the result and then back out from there. What is the most effective way we can get there? And sometimes you might have to break tradition a little bit because people in the past, they were doing it for other reasons, right? So that would be my advice.
Yeah, you need both, right? I mean, you have to have, here's the result that we're after, and there are certain tasks that you need to get there, but not to, contradict what you're saying, but people get so focused on the task, they forget about the outcome, right? And there's some people that want the outcome, but don't do the task, and they can't get that either, right? You want more leads in your school, but you're not willing to make the lead calls to get people to book appointments. Well, you're not going to hit that result if you don't do the task with it. But you can't just pick up the phone and call leads and tell them about your program and say, well, if you're interested, just certainly let us know, because that's not what the outcome is. The outcome or the result is to get the appointment booked, right? So there's some moving parts there, but yes, you have to do both, and we can't forget what the actual outcome is. And I think, a lot of people in that example, a lot of people may be afraid of trying to enroll somebody in the first class, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you feel like you need more rapport, it's okay. But I'll tell you, you drew this on the whiteboard years ago. You're like, you drew a stick person. Like, well, what's our goal? Right? Well, here's your prospect. Here's this little stick person. What's our goal? It's to get them enrolled. So any steps that you put in between there is just creating more work for you to get to the ultimate enrollment. If I could take them from prospect to enrollment in one step, why wouldn't I do that? Now, there's systems and ways to do those things, so I want to be clear about that. But if you understand that conceptually, this is a thing something you can implement in all facets of your business, right? Like, what is the goal? And you've said it, like, what's the easiest and what's the fastest way for me to get to that outcome? Because a lot of us say, well, we don't have the time, or maybe you work another job, or whatever the reasons are. You got to step back a little bit, or you get to your school and you're like, the mats have to be pristine, the mirrors got to be clean, the bathrooms of course, all that stuff has to happen, but you're never going to clean mats and enroll more students. It's just, if you're not focused on it, you have to, just like you set time up to teach classes and a class schedule, you have to have your day planned with what are the things they're going to do. And we always say it, that help with recruitment, that help with revenue, and that help with retention. And I think those are really important things. I mean, it was the energy of this last event was really, really amazing. It really was. And to see people come together, to see people that it was their first time there, to see people that haven't been to an event like this for 3 years and have been like, oh my God, this is completely different than what you guys are doing 3 and 4 years ago, right? We sometimes, as MAIA, we get the stigma of, well, they're doing the same things they've been doing for 20 years. Yeah, a lot of the systems are very similar. They've evolved over time, but at first glance, they may look like they're the same, but you don't fix it if it's not broken, right? And I'm always, every day, every month, every year that goes by, I just continue to get more and more convinced that we have the best systems out there, and everybody should say that, but I'm just convinced of it because of the people that we're talking to and what they've done, and then they come work with us and where they get to. So it's exciting, man. It's exciting times. I had an onboarding call with a new client today, and I mean, I have a lot of clients, and so I've really tried to be mindful. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with them for their first call today, right? Not because I had to, but because of where they're at and where I know that we can take them. Not because I'm so smart, but it's because I just know the systems and how we can get them there. Like for you guys, when if someone comes into your school and they're a new white belt and you've been doing this business for a while, you all know what it's going to look like and feel like when they get their black belt. But that new student has no idea about that. But you know exactly what it's going to be like because you've taken so many people through that process, and there's got to be some level of trust in that student to get you from where they are to where you're going to bring them. And we're not going to answer all the questions immediately because it's very overwhelming, but I promise through time you're going to see a huge difference in your child or as an adult in the adult program. It's no different in what we do on our end. I mean, and I'll just give you, I mean, they have 135 students. They're doing 8,000 a month-to-month programs, no upgrade programs. I'm like, you better strap in because the next 90 days, your life is going to change, like completely change, and for the good. And I'm so excited. I just get people, someone asked me at the event, well, why do you do what you do? Right. And and I've said this before, but the only thing that I can compare it to, because my answer is it's truly, I just love helping people be successful. I love taking people from where they're at when they feel like there might be no more hope. They may want to throw in the towel, and then have them see the other side, and they literally excel in their business. And now they're able to hire staff, full-time staff, give more people the opportunity. Like, well, that's really why you do. Yeah, that's why I do it. Like, because I was there. I was one of those people. I was bankrupted. I was in foreclosure, all the things, and completely changed the trajectory. And it provides people, I think, with hope. And the only other thing that I can liken it to is like when I competed back in the day and I was winning grand champions and state and national titles, that was a big deal. But it was never as big of a deal as I remember Kenny Thompson, one of my first students that got to black belt with me, when he went to a tournament, won grand champion. That feeling to me was more powerful than any, national or state title that I won. And that's what it is. And you've said it before, like when you make people money, people love you, right? And there's a lot of truth to that. But there's a system and a way to do it. We're not nickel and diamond people. We're not doing those things. And that's why we do what we do and why we're so passionate about it, is because we've seen it 100 times before, 500 times before, where you are and where we can get you. And that's where the passion comes from. So, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the industry level up. It's exciting to see more people coming along for the ride, more people getting open-minded and really wanting to take their business to the next level, and that level of trust that they have in us to be able to help them to do that. Look, we're just the conduit of information. These aren't theories. They're not concepts. It's all been proven. And doesn't matter the industry or the market or industry that you're, the market, excuse me, or the area that you're in, these systems work everywhere. And I don't want it to be a pitch for what we're doing, but it's very exciting to be able to see and restore hope in people that just don't think they can have this as a career, and then change their lives and change the lives of their students as well. It's fun.
And I say this because this just came out last week, but everyone at the event got one of these, spotlighting success. And it's almost like a yearbook where if people wanted to see, right, these are like some of the elite clients and their story, what style they teach. There it is.
So here's a learning moment. I mean, if you go through that book, there's a ton of testimonials in there.
Right.
I think it was Jay Abraham used to say, you need enough testimonials to like stuff a horse's face, right? I think that was just something along those lines. But take that. Why are we continuing to grow as an organization? Because we're providing great value and they're implementing and they're seeing the return. So for you, anyone that's watching, I would tell you this: do you have enough testimonials to choke a horse, right? Like, are you getting testimonials? Are you getting Google reviews? Are you getting testimonials from your existing students, so that everyone's not in the same situation, right? Some parents may not want confidence for their kids. Some parents may need, their kid just needs some self-discipline. And so the more people and more stories that you have that are similar to that prospective client, the easier it's going to be to get somebody enrolled in your school. As a matter of fact, years ago, I remember doing this. I had a parent, and they were there, and they were there for a reason. And I remembered, Mr. Smith, who had signed up 6 months ago, was there for the same reason. Well, he was there during that particular class. I said, let me do something. I said, come on out here. I said, Mr. Smith, I introduced him. I said, look, he wants his child to learn confidence. I know you came in for the same reason. What's been your experience? And I just let that parent talk. And it was so easy, because they're like, yeah, that's what we want for our kid. And they enrolled. I mean, it's having that culture, that community, and that's what we do. And that's what the whole elite program and the whole family is about, is everybody pulling each other to the next level. It's not, sometimes people need a push, but the easier way to get people from where they are to where they want to be is to pull them and inspire them. And I think that's what we've really been able to do. And I can't speak enough about the MAIA team behind the scenes that just does not get enough credit. They literally make us look like rock stars. I mean, it was just an unbelievable event that so many people don't get the credit for, that have been working on this behind the scenes to be able to pull off an event like that. And somehow, some way, it continues to get better and better every time we do an event, which is just mind-boggling.
It really does. And you said it, everybody. Listen, I said something there too, that my team is your team, right? For everyone in the MAIA Elite family, that team of rock stars that you say, Tass, make us look good, that are behind us, they're behind every one of those clients too. Everyone on the team, it sometimes you feel like you're on your own little island. You're a martial arts school owner. You don't have a big network. You go in, you do things, you teach great classes, and you just kind of feel like you're out on this island, and that's but you're not, I mean. And so with the MAIA family, it's like there's a whole team of people behind every single school owner in MAIA, and like other organizations. I mean, it should be that way with all organizations, but I will tell you that when I go to these events, I learn something every single time. And I shared my golden nugget at the beginning. I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, Mr. Blackman put on here, about Mr. Peterman's and stuff. He did,
right. Amazing.
The 12, steps to leadership, or to become a better leader. And it was absolutely phenomenal. And by the way, Mr. Nick Peterman, I've known him since he was 9 years old, and he's been working for me since he's just turned 14. And he blew me away, and I learned, right? I mean, and when you have everyone on the team leveling up, it just continues to pull everybody else up. And that's what's just so awesome. I love this industry, love the martial arts, love the people. Wait till you see MAIACon. We are excited about MAIACon, everybody. We have special guests coming in at MAIACon. We'll put it out there. It's June 30th, July 1st and 2nd. And I will tell you, we got some great friends who I consider some great people in the industry that are going to be out there during our event, speaking at our event, doing a seminar at event. And I'm excited about it. I mean, so we'll put it out there publicly and let you know. But I just hung up the phone with somebody that is honored to be coming out, and I think people are going to love it. I won't tell you who it is yet.
I don't need all the.
Well, we're going to announce the thing that's going to really explode the attendance is Mr. Tassoul won't be at the event. So now,
woo, best ever. Imagine that.
Here they come. His son is graduating, and we're excited and happy about that. Wish it was a different day, of course, but that there's nothing about it. You're right. Your son's graduation party, of course. But we have a Navy SEAL who's going to teach a combatives session, former Navy SEAL. I believe he was the 32nd African-American ever to complete SEAL training. And I think the clients are going to have a lot of fun, get a lot of cool things to take back. And that's just one of like 30 sessions, right? So we're excited about that. And I gave you enough information, but I'll release everybody's name when we put it out there, but all the different people in the industry. So I will tell you, the room block will fill up. We're going to be in conjunction with the US Open World Championships at the Disney Coronado Springs Resort in Orlando. And again, that's June 30th, July 1st, 2nd. And we got some other great people in the industry that are going to come speak, do a classroom mat training session. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be great. And I want to thank everybody that was there. I want to thank everyone that's on, that listens. And at the end of the day, look, you want to be successful, keep an open mind. Do you understand the saying, you don't know what you don't know? I mean, whatever it is you do know, that's great. It's not what you know, it's what you don't know that takes you to the next level.
And you know, and I just got to say this because I remember coming on board as an elite client. I remember telling you this, and it on one hand, it's like, wow, that's kind of pompous, right? On the other hand, you just got to hear it, right? Like, there wasn't much that I wasn't doing. I had an upgrade program. You know, I was doing mass intros. I was doing all these things, but it wasn't the what. It was the small details on the how that just blew things up exponentially. And it's mind-boggling to think that some small tweaks in certain areas can just explode something and make it exponential. And that's what you're saying. You got to look for those things. You may think you're doing all this, but what you don't know that's really holding you back. It could just and it is. Sometimes it's just one small thing that makes an unbelievable difference in what you're doing. And you're in a, you know, in an environment where you have people, everybody that wants to grow. Look, do I think a Tony Robbins seminar is great? I do. But I believe that people go to a Tony Robbins seminar, it's a lot of rah-rah hype, and they don't know how to translate that into their business, right, when they get back. And I think that's one of the things that, like I said earlier, that we're different with Elite is where you come to a seminar, there is a lot of inspiration and hype, but you're also leaving with pages of actionable items that you can literally, and you have to determine, well, what are those items going to be? And that's where, you know, that's where the coaching comes into play as well, because there's might be certain things that you enjoy, you want to execute, but it may not be the right time for you to do that in your business. There may be other things that are going to lever your business up much faster. And that's really, you know, what our goal is find out those things for you. What's the easiest levers to pull to get you to where you want to be as fast as you possibly can? Look, I'll give you an example. You know, I revisited, you know, Mike Storms was there, had a great talk on health and nutrition. And, you know, I was on the program 2 years ago, whatever, lost 30 pounds. And then I got off the program. And I got off the program because I'm like, it's not a lifestyle. Like, I can't lead that lifestyle. And we reconnected this last week, and he's like, you missed what we're trying to accomplish. It's not a lifestyle. But what we do is we do this part of the program until you hit your goal where you want to be weight-wise. And then we transition you into the healthy habits of doing this, that, and everything else. So I had missed a whole piece of that. And my mindset was, well, I was doing that, but I can't like continue that forever. And I missed this very, very big piece. And this is what we do with clients. Like, our mission is to maximize your revenue in your school as quickly as possible. And again, not by nickel and dime, but the systems that we teach. And then we can come back and fill in. You know, there's the example, Metz, you know, the glass jar where you put the big rocks in first, and they ask the students, is the jar full? Yeah, the jar is full. And they pour pebbles and they kind of shake it around, and there's more room for that, right? Is it full now? Yeah, it's full. And then they pour in the sand. Is it full? Yeah, it's full. And then it's the water, right? Well, there's big rocks in our world. Those big rocks are not just what you charge, but how you charge it. It's, are you doing some sort of an upgrade program, which again can be considered taboo, but when it's done the right way, it makes sense, and it's an option, it's a choice for the consumer. And you have the right schedule that's going to help you to retain your students and generate massive amounts of revenue. Like, those are the big rocks for us. But doing your app and, well, what do I do? Rotating curriculum. Yeah, all those things are small things that we can absolutely fill in, but that's like the pebbles in the sand later on. But there are some key components that you need to really lever up your business, which would be the rocks as quickly as possible. And it's exciting. It's fun to see. It's fun to see the growth. I looked at Chris Rodriguez when we had everybody stand up for the holiday event, right? If you generated more than 10,000 or more in 4 hours, stand up, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. When we hit 40,000, I looked at Chris, I said, do you realize, like, a few short years ago, people that did 40,000 or more in their 4 holiday event was the minimum. It was a small number of people. Now it was half of the room was standing up. So it's been incredible to see that growth as well in some of the systems, and just exciting, man. It's exciting for everybody,
And by the way, I'll tell you a success. I'll tell you a successful mindset. And this is just credibility. I'm saying this just for credibility on our part because I think it's cool. But again, Jay McGowan, who is our guest speaker, again, he does sales trainings and this, but he wrote and sang Space Jam, Hoot There It Is, and or Woot There It Is, and Tootsie Roll, and Come On Ride the Train. But guess what? He said, I'm going to be front row and center. I want to be part of the seminars. I want to learn. I mean, so here's a guest speaker, right? Normally they'd come in, they'd do their thing, get a check, get out. He wanted to stay all weekend. He was right there in the mix. He was taking notes. I saved him a seat in the back with the consultants. He goes, I'd like to be right up front. I want to be in it. And that's a successful mindset. You know who else came to the seminar, to our wealth seminar? Lyoto Machida, the dragon, and his wife came to our wealth event. 2 days, came to sit and take notes, on wealth building strategies, and specifically on this one was about residential and multifamily investing. And, they came and they sat there and they took notes. Now, some people like Lyoto Machida, who's I'll be having lunch with him tomorrow at his house, which is really cool. I mean, he's a great guy, but he could have, I'm the light UFC. I was the light UFC heavyweight champ. I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm going to sit right there with all the school owners. I want to learn. That's a successful mindset. You check, those are the people who go far, that just can really, like as Bruce Lee says, empty your cup. What is it that I don't know? I want to learn as much as I possibly can. That is I really have a tremendous respect for that. And like I said, for us, we go there, Tass, honestly, I mean, we say this all the time, but we've learned more from the clients than any one client can learn from us, right?
100%. And it's different than going to a tournament where there's other fellow school owners. And I'm not saying this to be like absolute truth, but a lot of people just like to build themselves up, right, and brag a little bit. I don't think you're getting honest answers necessarily from people that you're like hanging your peers all the time. I'm not saying it's everybody, but I think a lot of times there's puffery and people round to the closest 100 students up, right, as to how many active they have, and they round up their gross revenue numbers and they do all the things. And the difference is when you're working with a client who's honest and open with you about where they're at, it allows us to be able to figure out how they got there and what they're doing. And then they're giving us things that they're doing well in their school. And we figure out how to make it a system and deliver it to everybody else. It's really incredible. And having those one-on-one honest conversations, which is why you said, this is why we, part of the reason that we don't do like group consulting is one-on-one coaching. It's not the best way for MAIA Elite to scale. It's the worst possible way for us to scale, but it's what's the best thing for the clients. And because of that relationship, our clients grow to these unbelievable levels, and we are also able to share information back and forth, and then be able to give that to the rest of the family as well. I was talking with a client earlier, and they had just mentioned, I kind of gave my little presentation about the comeback after the setback, and look, we all can rise to a level in our business, right? But you can also fall, and those things can happen, and then you can pick up and you can rise again. But he had mentioned something that was something along the lines of, people are either coming out of a bad situation, right? They're in a good place and things are going great, or they're about ready to go into a bad situation. I thought, that's pretty interesting. And the goal obviously is if you can continue to push off ever getting into that bad situation and be in the situation where things are going well, And you used to say it to me when we were having record months. You're like, it's not going to be that way forever. Just remember. And it's easy if you take your eye off the ball for things to fall, which is why I believe continued education is important, which is why I believe being around a network of people that all have the same interests is extremely important. You know, we've all heard you're the sum of the 5 people the average of the 5 people that you hang out with, right? Well, when you go to an event like this and you're hanging out with people that are successful, you want to be in that group, and it's reassuring to be there, to hold your place, to get better, to do all those things and not be able to go backwards. Because I've also seen it in this industry where people that I've worked with and consulted have gotten away from the consulting, which is totally fine, but then they latched on to the next shiny object, and then they started to do this. They started to go backwards because they forgot what got them to that level, right? And the systems, not because of me, but the systems that got them to that level. And then they heard something else like, oh, I like that idea better. And they change it. And then we start to see them do this, right? And they're flatline again. And that's where they're stuck. And this is why continued education is so important, and always sharpening the sword and being there. I love it, man. I love, what I don't love is it's not always easy to get, when you have 418 people, it's not easy to get to everybody. So for those of you that were there and I just didn't get to spend enough time with you, I apologize. We do our best to do that. But it's so great being in that community. I mean, dude, we did dinner with 418 people, right? I mean, it was an incredible dinner and fun. And even then it's just hard to get to everybody. So we appreciate everyone's support that was there. And of course, those of you that tuned in and those of you that came as guests, it really made for an amazing event for everybody. It was very, very fun.
It was awesome. It was great. I love it. And like Mr. Magbano was said, you know, he's been doing this. He's been in the program 15 years. He can't wait for MAIA Con, June 30th, July 1st and 2nd. And I've been doing this for 20 years, and I can't wait for MAIA Con. Let's see here. Mr. Magbano says, it was great to network with Jay McGowan. We have a passion for a certain collection. I couldn't be more excited with how we can help and work with each other in the near future. Yeah, it's all about networking. It's fantastic. So it was just awesome. Just a great event. Can't wait for the next one. Go back and watch the beginning of this, guys, if you missed it, on a golden nugget that you could take into your school today and increase your conversion rates. It's not going to hurt you. It will only help you. I promise you it will increase your conversion rates from prospect to student. Go back, because it was a takeaway I got from Jay McGowan's presentation. So go do it. And yeah.
I have a question. For those of you that are watching live, right? Or for those of you that maybe watch the replay and you find yourself and you've been doing the same things and maybe you realize like what I've done to get here is not going to get me to where I want to go. What's your plan? What's your plan to get to the next level in your school? Right? I mean, really? I mean, it's true. It's true.
Well, yeah,
and by the way, it doesn't need to be us, by the way. It could be anybody, right?
But what's your plan, and the way we think can stop us from executing the plan. We'll put up all kinds of excuses. I mean, just all kinds of things. I'll just say this, and I'm not mentioning any names because it's one of my team members, right? But it's normal. This is normal. So I'm just using the latest example, but this has happened. I had asked, I said, how are we doing on the quarter? Are we going to finish the quarter, you know, and hit the goal that you set? I didn't set the goal. You set the goal. And this is totally normal. And I'm not upset at all or anything in case this person is watching, right? They go, no, you know, unless X happens, we won't hit it. I said, but what about, you know, Y and Z? You know, we could be doing this. Well, with testing this week, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to do it. Well, this was yesterday. I said, well, when's testing start? 4 o'clock. When's it start tomorrow? Like 4 o'clock. So what's going on at 10 a.m.? What are you doing at 10 a.m., at 11 a.m., at noon, at 1, at 2? Now, keep in mind, our people aren't required to be into work till 2. But I said, as a manager, we're behind. You get in at 10 a.m. and you do whatever you got to do to hit the goal, right? I mean, I said, and this is the analogy I use, if I coached an NBA basketball team or any basketball team and we're in the first quarter, how many players do you think I'm going to tell to take half-court shots? None. If I'm in the fourth quarter and there's 2 seconds left on the clock and we're down by 2, who am I going to tell to take a half-court shot? Anybody that gets that ball. You got to do whatever you got to do to win the game. We're not always going to win, but we got to do everything we can do to win. So if you got to get in at 10 a.m., even though you're not required to be there till 2, you get in at 10 and you do Y and Z. Yeah, I mean, this is, you got to make sure that this is an example again of focusing on tasks and not consciously understanding what result it is that we need. This is the result. I will do whatever it takes to get it. Period. End of story. Done. I mean, so it's the same thing with business, right? So
absolutely,
go get it done. Hit the goals. No excuses. Don't put up blocks on why you can't execute a plan, and don't bash anything until you come to the event and see it. And by the way, a MAIA Elite event is not the Super Show. So I know a lot of people go, well, I've been to the Super Show. I've been to the MAIA event. You weren't at a MAIA Elite event. You were at the Super Show. Completely different things. Okay. So anyway.
Right on. You got today and tomorrow. So, and by the way, if you do the activity.
Oh, you got today. Isn't tomorrow the 1st? Or no?
Tomorrow's 31st.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, great. That's even better.
Today and tomorrow, right? And by the way, if whatever you do today and tomorrow doesn't come to fruition now, it's going to help you start off April on the right foot, right? And that's the other thing that you got to remember. So yeah, let's go out and crush it. If you guys, of course, if anybody needs anything, feel free to, message us or call us, or we're here to help. We appreciate everyone's feedback. And again, appreciate everybody that came out and those of you that watch live streams. We couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you guys so much. And if you guys need anything from us, let us know.
Thank you guys. We'll see you soon.
All right, everybody. Goodbye, everyone.
All right. Bye.